Hello and welcome. As usual, we will give folks a moment to join the Zoom meeting and then we'll get started. So it'll be just a minute. I now call to order this meeting of the South Whitby School Board. We will begin by noting that two of our board members will be joining us remotely. Director Downs and Director Johnson will be doing so. They will be listening in on the Zoom and chiming in as needed. With that in mind, I'll turn it over to Director Jackson for our land acknowledgement.
Thank you. As always, we gather, we live, we work, we learn on Indigenous land. This is the land of the Snohomish people. This island, these waters, these plant and animal and human communities have been shaped by the many speakers of the Lushootseed language, the Lower Skagit, the Stillaguamish, the Suquamish people, the many, many tribes whose interconnected stories, past, present, and future, have shaped where we are, the communities that we live in, the way we learn and work. And particularly just reflecting on education, having grown up in this area and having raised children in this area, I have to acknowledge the joyful presence of these human-shaped landscapes, the prairies, the forests that were tended for many thousands of years, uncountable years and uncountable generations before European arrival in this place. And the quality of biological diversity and beauty around us would have been impossible without this stewardship, which continues, and to whom, I should say for which, we owe a debt of gratitude to the Indigenous communities with which we share this place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will note this is a board business meeting, so this is a meeting of the board in public. As such, there will not be conversation back and forth unless the board has questions for a specific presenter, which may come up. There will be an opportunity for public comment after the presentations and before our new business. If you'd like to speak during that period, if you'd like to address the board during that period, you may do so by signing up with Ms. Macaro in the back. Otherwise, I know most of you are here for presentations. You'll get plenty of chances to talk then. Are there any objections to approving the agenda and minutes as presented?
I move that we alter the order of the presentations and move the policy 2255 alternative programs up to the tops, so it will be the first presentation.
Okay. Is there any discussion to be had on that item? I think that's a fantastic idea, so we can let the ALE folks present and then get on with their evening.
To that, I would add, it is a fantastic idea, and getting on with their evening might include staying to learn what a full board meeting looks like, which is also invited. Absolutely.
Particularly since this one shouldn't be too long, comparatively. Student representatives, can we have we have a motion on the floor to shift the order of presentation items. Can we have your advisory votes?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of moving presentation C to the top of the presentations section, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion passes. We will move that on. Are there any other objections to approving the agenda and minutes as presented? Besides that one, hearing none, the agenda and minutes are otherwise approved as presented. Are there any objectives to approving the consent agenda as presented? This will approve 4th and 5th and 7th and 8th grade field trips. Hearing no objections, the consent agenda is approved as presented. We move into our recognitions, and it being Teacher Appreciation Week, we have a lot to recognize. So I'll turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Clifford.
So we're a week ahead. Yes. And thank you for taking the moment, right? Because our teachers, every single staff member in our school district make a huge, huge impact on our students. And our teachers are our largest core, and they're the ones that are the heartbeat of the instruction, but they bring their whole selves to this profession. And it's not just a profession, it's a calling for them. They show up each and every day knowing your students, caring for your students, wanting them to grow and achieve and be incredible humans that they are. And so our teachers really take the time to show up daily and support the core of nurturing students and fostering their safe and inclusive learning environment. Their influence goes beyond the classroom and well into a student's future, and helps create opportunities for students to see well beyond what they even know is possible for them. I'm just super appreciative of our teachers, from our teachers that support our youngest of students to our students that are just heading off into their post-secondary, whatever it is that they choose to do, that our teachers are preparing students, and students are coming prepared when they leave to make choices to go to college, walk into a career, or go to a technical school, and just be contributing members to our community. And so I just am so grateful and appreciative for the dedication that our teachers bring each and every single day. And they will get some recognition next week.
Thank you for that. Being married to a teacher myself, I know just how much they put into this, and it doesn't start when the bell rings and it doesn't end when the bell rings. And that dedication of time, effort, money, blood, sweat, and tears. I can't think of a better thing to expend that on than our students, because they are the future of our community and the communities that they will leave this one to go into. While our school bus drivers, it was National School Bus Driver Day just a few days ago, see them first, our teachers see them the most and have a huge impact on our students. And so thank you very much to them.
I'll just add that earlier in the year, the board had a retreat and we went around each sharing a memory of a teacher that impacted us a lot. Even decades later, I could see how impactful these stories were to each of the board members, and they were to me personally, just to hear them and relive my own. And when I walk through the schools, I think about how every interaction with a teacher is a potential future story like that, about how a teacher can really touch a student's life and make a huge positive difference. And so my huge appreciation goes out to our teachers all the time, but especially for Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yeah, I just have to say, thinking back to my own school experience, there were teachers with the capacity to make me feel uniquely seen and appreciated and admired in a classroom where I was perhaps one of 30. And I would venture to guess that those teachers were giving other people that same experience in that same room on those same days. And just that capacity to make somebody feel witnessed and to invite forward the best part of themselves, the part they're most proud to grow and show. That's what makes the difference between a good teacher and a great one. And I was lucky enough to experience that right here in South Whidbey School District. So I'm so grateful that we still have teachers here providing that for this generation of young people.
And since we do have two board members online, if they want to say anything, now would be the time. Otherwise, I'll move us on so that we can get on with the meeting. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to our presentations, and thanks to our motion earlier, we will start with policy 2255, alternative programs. I will turn it over first to Principal Richards.
Thank you so much. We're going to go right to the good stuff and hear from our wonderful ALE students. But before we begin, I want to acknowledge our teachers. Speaking of amazing teachers that we have, if our ALE team could stand up, our teaching team, and Jamie, of course. I'm going to start with Jamie. Jamie Zundell. Let's give her a hand. She's the she's truly the mom of the ALE program. You know, we don't have all the staffing at the ALE program, so Jamie does it all in terms of being there for parents and students, and just appreciate you so very much. Thank you. Karis, this is Karis's last year with us. She is making a decision to be home with her own child, and I'm so grateful to you and the academic rigor that you brought to this program, and the beautiful partnership that you've engaged in with our team, and all that you've given to our students. Karis, we will miss you, but I know you'll be around, right? Okay, thank you so much. Andrea Mitchell. Andrea is out there getting her done, getting the work done in the field with our kids, and you bring such a beautiful joy with our middle school students. I love seeing you with them, and it's been my pleasure to get to go down and hang out with you guys sometimes, and I love that so much. So thank you for everything you give, Andrea. And we were joined this year by Joy Broughton, and Joy has just been we're so fortunate to have this level of teaching. Joy has really focused on math, and it's been so exciting to see the ways that she is weaving mathematics into music and into seed science and into library science. And we're so grateful to have you, and thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you so much. I just want to say that it's been my honor, before I turn it over to Andrea, to be a part of the ALE. As you all know, this is my last year. And when I look back on the things that I've had the honor and privilege of being a part of in the school district, it's really being a part of the ALE with all of you. So thank you so much.
Well, we wouldn't have the ALE without Susie. So she's the heart and soul behind it. And we thank you so much, Susie. I think Joy and Karis, if you want to join me up here. Susie, are we going to go through these first slides or just have people read what's on them? Or I can more than happy to go through them. Quick. I'll do the first couple and I'll pass it on down. All right, and next. We'll reload.
Some wonderful things came out of the pandemic, like the ALE program, some less wonderful things.
The other day, I was visiting the ALE program, and while I was visiting, they were in clubs, and I also think academics too, right? Okay, but I saw a number of things and students engaging in different ways, and some kinesthetic learning with hands, and then I think students were doing some science and building on some concepts together and making some educated guesses, which were informed, and they were going back to their facts and resources. And I think that they were also doing some farm and school, and food related engagement. And I'm going back off of memory, and this was a while ago, like last week, which feels like like 3 months ago. But it was just lovely to see not only the students engaged, the staff engaged, but also our community, our family members who are part of the program. Like this is like our ALE is truly a representation of a truly community program, right? It is a village. And you all work together so beautifully. And the three of you, with support of and leadership under Principal Richards, really kind of create the conditions for it to go so well and so smoothly. And the thing that I love most about it is that students are sometimes the teachers. They lead their own learning. And so we're going to hear about that today, I think. And it looks like it might, you want to? Okay. All right. I'm handing it over now.
Well, I think the first slide was our staff, which you just met anyway. We work with a lot of community-based instructors and volunteers, and I won't name them all, but we have many, and we were grateful to all of them.
Classes that you were speaking of, Dr. Clifford, were taught by many of those community partners and parents, and we would not have that club program without their support. And so that actually, the previous slide was our thank you to all of them, everything from solar cars to newspaper, to culinary science and so forth.
That not working? Oh, got it. Okay.
So this is just a continuation, just showing gratitude to all of our community partners that we have had the privilege of working with this year. That goes all the way from the Woodby Children's Theater to the Snow Owl Library with Jayanne and Woodby Communal Land Trust. There's just been so many supportive, not just community members within our own ALE program, but outside of the ALE program that have pitched in to support.
25 to 1.
Next slide. So this is just a continuation of that. Our enrollment data as of April's P223, we currently have 71 students enrolled. We have 28 new students this year, of which 40% transferred into the district from private schools and 40% from homeschool. And in years past, I have seen Susie say, "This is how we align."
This is how we align. But in collaboration with our community is right, bold,
Yes.
right in center. And so
Yes.
that's, yeah.
Thank you for highlighting that.
And even though the ALE program is a standalone program in a sense, we still strive to meet the goals of the district and of the elementary school, and that's through social emotional learning and academic growth. Our goal this year for academic growth was math fluency along with the elementary school, and it's been wonderful to see the growth of the students that we see periodically. We don't work with them every day, but to really be able to measure growth over time when we see them just once a week for math or twice a week.
So now we're going to get into our student presentations. We're going to start with our first and second graders and then end with our middle schoolers. So first up, we have Remy and Maxwell. They are both second graders in the first and second grade program, and they're going to talk about what they like about first and second grade. You guys want to come up?
Hello? I think you don't have to.
I'm Maxwell. I'm Remy. I love the ALE community because we all get together and we can see friends and our families come, and it is one of the best things. I think the two events at the end of the year are fun. It's when we have students make poster board trifolds talking about what students are passionate about or what students have learned during the year. I like the beach because, well, we learn about things that I like to eat and learn about, like salmon. I love salmon. It is good. If salmon are from a fishery, they cut the small fin that is on the front of their tail fin, and so you can tell if it is from a fishery. I like making the crab sanctuaries out of sand and frying crabs to put in them.
All right. Thank you two so much. All right. So up next, we're going to move on to 3rd and 4th grade. We have 4 presenters for 3rd and 4th grade. So we're going to run quickly right through. But first, we have Eliza and Kinley, and they're going to be talking about our animal research projects that we engaged in this year.
Hello, my name is Eliza, and I'm here to talk about the animal project our class worked on. We each chose an animal. I worked on the red panda. We drew pictures, printed maps, and researched their habitat, things they do, and trivia facts, etc. We put the information onto a trifold, and once we were finished working on our projects, our families came to see all the work we had done with a gallery walk. And my name is Kinley, and we researched at the Langley Public Library and got some information about our animals. Miss J taught us how to get the information, and we took it back to the ALE classroom to use for our trifolds. We got some of the information from library books and digital databases. Thank you for listening.
All right. And next slide, please. Up next, we have Emmy and Lois, and they're going to be talking a little bit about our outdoor learning with 3rd and 4th grade at the Organic Farm School.
My name is Emmy, and I'm going to talk about plant babies at the Organic Farm School. Plant babies are native plants that we adopt for the school year. We learn about their cycles and take care of them. We also learn about invasive species and how they hurt our native plants. My name is Lois, and I'll be talking about farm school as well. Every Thursday, 3rd and 4th grade goes to the Organic Farm School. Each year has a specific farm school theme. This year's theme is cycles. Many beginning circle questions ponder the nature of cycles, such as in which stage of their cycle are blue orchid mason bees most vulnerable. Other cycles that we have learned about include the water cycle, various life cycles, and a deeper dive into seasons. Cycles are also a great way to learn about the universe. Thank you.
Next up, we have Irene from the 5th grade farm school. She's going to present. Oh, I'll let her talk.
I'm Irene, and I'm in 5th grade, and I'm going to talk about farm school. On Tuesdays, 5th and 6th graders go to the Organic Farm School in Clinton. Some of the projects we worked on this year are removing invasive plant species at Trillium Community Forest and putting protective tubes around baby trees. We are also working on an experiment using different soil amendments to see which lettuce and greens go better in which type of soil. Our most current project is the Johnson-Su bioreactor. The Johnson-Su takes food scraps and wood chips mixed together and after a while turns it into compost. We recently took some temperatures of the 3 Johnson-Sus, and one of the temps was 151 degrees Fahrenheit. This means that the bioreactors are working, and once they cool down, the worms will move in and make some compost for us.
Oh, sorry. The Woodby
Last
Compost
week,
Collective
we
made a
worked with
video
5th
for
and
us.
6th graders from South Whidbey's ALE to build 3 Johnson-Su bioreactors at the Organic Farm School. ALE is a public, student-centered alternative learning program built around community connection and social and emotional development. The Organic Farm School is a learning center for anyone who wants to grow food at a community scale and learn about getting involved in community food systems. The low-cost, no-turn bioreactors we built together produce biologically diverse, fungal-rich compost while cutting greenhouse gas emissions. The students will monitor the composting process over the next 9 months.
Next up, we have Justice Pitts was going to present about Future City. I'm not Justice, but Justice could not be with us tonight. So I'll just say the Future City Regional Competition is open to 6th through 8th graders, and we did have an honorary 5th grader this year. Turned out this year it was just 5th and 6th graders interested. So we had a rookie team. We were green, and they did an amazing job. They did so much research. The topic this year was to have a city that had zero waste. And so they did amazing research about cutting edge technologies, and they presented to engineers and architects and city planners down at Shoreline Community College. And it was a building year. And we look forward to next year. So thank you. I'm sure Justice would have done a better job. And next up, we have our middle school.
Hi, my name is Beloved, and I'm going to be talking about the ALE Beach School program. Beach School has always been one of my favorite classes. It has always provided a perfect combination of adventure and education. At the beach, we use scientific thinking individually to observe small areas, but also as a group to work together to come up with hypotheses. We are exposed to real scientific processes while taking important data about the health of the nearshore environment. We also get the opportunity to analyze this data at the end of the year to share with our community. It has been an amazing experience getting to take this class over the years. I have not only watched our island's beaches evolve and change, but also myself and my classmates.
Hello, my name is Penelope, and I will be talking about the ALE community. The ALE community is such a wonderful community. I feel ALE builds people up instead of tearing them down. We all have so much fun together, welcoming new people and sadly saying goodbye to the ones who are leaving. Everyone plays a big part in the ALE community, the parents, the students, and of course the teachers. Me and a lot of my class can safely say that we've all learned so much about ourselves and of course like math, poetry, literature, and good fun educational stuff like that.
I'm now going to be talking about the ALE clubs. Creative writing and newspaper clubs are just two of the clubs we have at ALE. In the Creative Writing Club, we get to work with an accomplished local author and singer-songwriter, Tina Lear. She teaches us about the importance of using our imaginations to create something we care about, whether it's writing a story or creating poetry. In newspaper, we learn about how to publish and create a newspaper. We get to write articles about things we care about, and we just get to have fun. We also get to work with ALE parent Nicole Waltersdorf, who, among other things, did ghostwriting for National Geographic.
Okay, those were all of our presentations. Thank you so much for supporting the program and supporting all of these wonderful presenters today.
Thank you very much for being here and for presenting all the work that you do, or a sliver of the work that you do, showing us just a hint of what goes on in those ALE classrooms and outside the classrooms, so wonderfully outside the classrooms. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Well, I first want to say that ALE is such a treasured program that we have in our district community. I'm really happy to see all the hard work that all y'all students have been doing, and also the way you're supporting each other and building each other up. It's really amazing to see. We're going to need leaders like you in the next generation that work together on big problems that help the planet. I have a question that doesn't need an answer right now. It's for Ms. Richards, the ALE teachers, and even for ALE parents to think about, and also for Dr. Clifford, kind of casting a broad net here. as Miss Richards is sadly transitioning out of her role as principal with new leadership coming in. I'm curious what opportunities that presents for the ALE program, and then also perhaps if there's any risks or tensions in that transition, how best to mitigate them and keep ALE such a strong program.
Going to respond, but I do want to say one thing. I just want to make sure that our families and our students and our staff know that the foundation that has been built and the program that we have is not only here today, but it is here tomorrow. And that's all. That's just important for me to make sure that you do know that. So.
Yeah, I wasn't joking when I said the best thing that came out of COVID for South Whitby was the ALE program. The ability to reach out and connect families that are doing homeschool education or private school education or anything else that's outside of the gen ed public school and connect them to each other and to teachers who have the curricular experience to provide curriculum and help out in areas that aren't strengths for those parents, and to find parents in that community who have those strengths. It's a fantastic program, and I'm so happy that it is here for y'all and by y'all. So thank you very much for everything you do to make this a wonderful community.
I am just so excited as a professional environmentalist to see the nature-based education really blossoming. I was going to say exploding, but I think blossoming is probably a better metaphor. Although I guess some seed pods explode, so that's also a nature metaphor. But I just think, you know, if there's any one skill that we are going to need for the years to come, it is to live in harmony with our biodiverse ecosystems, to sustain and grow the biodiversity of our ecosystems. And so to see that taking root in these young minds and hearts when they're I would say children have this natural affinity for nature, this natural appreciation for reverence for the splendor of the natural world, and to not just take advantage of that window, but also use it to then leapfrog into science understanding and mathematical understanding and language acquisition and art. It's just a remarkable way of making a really important opportunity into a gift for our whole community. So thank you.
Yeah, I want to offer my gratitude as well. And also, can you guys hear me?
We're turning you up a little, Anne.
Okay, thanks. Um, I arrived a little bit late, so I just hit the tail end of the teacher appreciation segment, but I just really want to name how hard the teachers work, not only to teach students in class, but to connect with parents, to connect with families, to connect with the community. That's a huge, long, amazing list of community partners that sit at the hub of a lot of the learning that the kids do. And then, you know, teachers both support and enhance that in the classroom. And, you know, what an amazing model for a program. So I just wanted to name that and be very grateful for it. Thank you.
I would just say thank you to all the students that were like brave enough to come up and speak, because I know that can be really stressful as a student. So thank you guys.
And with that, we'll move on to our next presentation. And thank you all again. And you are more than welcome to stay. But we will also call it a 3-minute pause to let those who would like to move on with their evenings do so. So thank you again and good evening. We'll now move on to item A on our presentations. Go ahead.
Each year, the union and the district select 2 teachers to go to a conference. And so we're getting to hear about what they learned and what they got out of the conference and how they're bringing it back to their classrooms. So I'm going to hand it over to you all. And we're going to close the door so that we can hear. Okay. Haley, would you like to come up first?
It's on. All right. I'll set up. Okay, thank you for having me here to share about my experience going to the National Kindergarten Conference. It was set in Santa Clara, California. And in January, I attended this where the central message really was learning begins with belonging. And, you know, we just heard from the ALE program just about I'm calling it belonging because it's spring and it feels really light and nature-based, which is what a lot of our teaching is in kindergarten. So tonight I'll just connect the research that was brought there and then also kind of how I'm bringing that back to my team, my kindergarten team, and to our district, hopefully in the future. I'm not used to it. Okay, slide. That's okay. I can continue while it gets pulled up. I'll just give you a little background about what the National Kindergarten Conference is. So it was really birthed from COVID. It was a resource for California kindergarten teachers as a resource. It was a central point or resource hub for California kindergarten teachers. And since 2021, it's expanded to be all early childhood. So that's preschool or birth to 3 all the way to 1st grade. And so they expanded it in 2021 to become a national conference. While I was looking up, I saw the email flash. So does anyone want to go to a national conference? And I thought, yes, I do. But I really am, my research is interested in the neuroscience of learning. So as a kindergarten teacher, how do children learn? What is their brain actually doing? And why is relationship so important? So I'm looking around for conferences and I saw that Dr. Wesson, who worked for the Department of Education during the Obama administration, was speaking there. And he's a neuroscientist out of Berkeley who I've been following for a few years. And so he was a keynote speaker. And I thought, wow, okay, this is great. It's January. It's really dark here. And I could go to California for a nice conference, also with one of my favorite researchers in neuroscience. So it was great. Why I chose the conference was not only for that. I mean, that was wonderful, but in kindergarten, it can be tricky. I put the bridge image up here because there are times where we feel like we're on an island, and this is Deception Pass. So we're on an island and we are constantly bridging content to simplify it in order for children to understand it. So a lot of curriculum that's given to kindergarten teachers is so heavily academic based when developmentally kindergartners really need to play and learn. So I've coined the term plearning as a piece of that. And a lot of curriculum doesn't add in play. They just give you content. So kindergarten teachers are constantly taking high level content and simplifying it and creating a bridge for young children. And not only kindergarten teachers, but early childhood educators. This being my 9th year in kindergarten and 12th year teaching, I feel like my bridge is fairly strong, which is why I'm really starting to dig into the neuroscience of learning. And Dr. Jessen, he's considers himself a brain considerate educator. So thinking about what are the neurons doing in young children and how does culture nowadays impact those neurological connections. Next slide, please. So some of my guiding questions coming into this was, how can we strengthen our sense of belonging in early childhood in South Whidbey? There's a lot of great things happening with parent connection and nature-based, community-based learning, but what can I do, what can my team and I do specifically to really enhance our sense of belonging? And what does current neuroscience research say about belonging? How can I bring that information back to my team? And then thinking about math instruction, because that was a focus for our district this year, of how can I use that information of belonging, because social emotional learning is so important in kindergarten. How can I really use that bridge model to bridge belonging and math? And what does that look like for kindergarten? And again, kindergarten is 5 and 6 year olds. So just to define that here. Next slide, please. So the big overarching theme was belonging and relationships in early learning as a crucial building block for children. And as many early child educators know, but not people outside of that bubble, understand that play is really that entry into belonging. That play for children is not just this frivolous thing that they do out of nothing. It's actually they're built to play in order to build relationship, and so that was really emphasized here. Next slide, please. So why does belonging matter? It isn't just social emotional. It's actually biological. Positive relationships release chemicals, the dopamine, oxytocin, which increase motivation and trust. And at the kindergarten age, those things are firing constantly. So that's when children participate more, they take more risks, and they persist through challenges when they interact with someone positive. And when you're talking about teacher appreciation, I'm picking up that almost every single one of you talked about how your teacher made you feel and didn't reference actually a specific lesson that inspired you. It's a feeling, it's a sense of belonging. Actually, research has shown that belonging can reduce achievement gaps by 35%, and especially in kindergartners. So even in the lowest income schools, that this greater culture of a school of belonging can help those children thrive. So not only is it biological, but it's foundational. So investing in kindergarten is crucial, and ITK, I will add that for our district. Play is learning. So the conference really dug into play. Like, what is play? And it's hands-on. It builds neurological connections. Social play increases that relationship. So having children, they move from the early stages of development of playing next to each other. And in kindergarten, it's their first, some of them, it's their first instance of playing with someone. So the word with is a really important sight word in kindergarten because it creates a togetherness that we focus on. So those 4 letters, I like to really emphasize the sounds of what it a lot, because it brings us together, that word. It increases motivation and play, movement and exploration, strengthens memory and understanding. Many educators and parents have read the research that handwriting, ignites the brain more than typing, and cursive even ignites the brain 10 times more than printing. So that movement piece is vital to play. Next slide, please. So what do I want to bring back to my team? What do I want to bring back to South Whidbey? And it's really this concept of serve and return. And Dr. Wesson talked quite extensively in their other workshops on this idea of serve and return. I think as parents who are invested in children, we naturally do this. And think of it, so think of it as like a game of tennis. So someone serves and someone returns, and every hit is a neurological connection. So if a child, for example, if a child says, "Look at this bug," or, "I found this," then the return is, instead of "okay," the return is building a neurological pathway. The answer is more of, "Wow, what do you notice?" It's these open-ended ideas of, let me just give you another prompt to help you explore more. And in that moment, the brain just connects. There's neurological pathways that much stronger. So it's not so in school, that's what it looks like. And at home, it might be, "I love you." And then the return is, "I love you too. What'd you do today?" Those connections. So again, every hit makes the connections in the brain stronger. And in kindergarten, those hits, those tennis, the back and forth, is happening probably every 3 seconds. "Look at this. Let me tell you this. I'm in the middle of a math lesson, and it's, 'Did you know I saw a squirrel today?'" And then, bringing children back to, okay, we are adding 3 and 2 more. And then they'll tell me more of their life experience, because they're looking for connection, that biological drive and that foundation. So again, just I'm hoping, coming back to bringing this back to my team, I'm hoping to really us to explore more of what kind of prompts in learning can we help children build deeper connections with. What word bank can we have in our back pocket? What response bank can we have to really open up children's minds in kindergarten as a different approach to teaching? Next slide, please. Again, just that action plan of bringing neuroscience-based strategies back to the classroom, and looking into more professional development with my team, and ongoing observations with other teachers who in our state who are interested in this work. Regarding math, I did a smaller workshop on math instruction and neuroscience, and how does that how am I going to bring that back to our community? And it's just, it needs to be hands-on. And I know this as a kindergarten teacher, but sometimes, when you go to professional development and you hear it in a different light, that through the brain, that hands-on connections are building relationships with objects. And that for me was a big insight for math instruction. And then, yeah, just hoping to bring more professional development to the district on this topic. Last slide, please. So I'll leave you this. The question is not whether children can learn. It's whether we've created for the conditions for them to learn. Belonging is foundation. Learning is the outcome. And this is the work we're doing at kindergarten at South Whitby. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. As a kinetic learner myself, the connection for math in particular of feeling it, doing it, to learn it, I love that. And I love seeing it spreading through. I know it's huge in kindergarten, primary in general, but just seeing it everywhere, seeing how that hooks some students is fantastic. And I love that emphasis. Thank you very much.
As a non-neuroscientist and non-educator, I'm curious what advice you have for board members when we do school visits at the elementary level, and especially in the younger grades at the elementary level. What should we be looking for to see learning? And is it any different than learning, or could you just say like all learning in the prepared environment is learning?
Thank you for using my term. If I was walking into this school as a non-educator, I would want to see children talking, thinking out loud. In the early grades, ITK through second, that is more hands-on. I would love to see, more hands-on engagement, more peer-to-peer conversations about their learning, more presentation of that learning with objects, with action, with movement. That is what I mean by that play learning. It's that bridge, and that will look different at every grade level. 3rd through 5th, it's going to be a little more, the play looks different. The play looks more cognitive because they're capable of the academic language at that level. The expectation is different. Their play, I have a 5th grade at home. She still does play imagination. And so it still exists, but her imaginative play is so well thought and cognitively driven. And so I hope that answers your question.
I really appreciated the tennis metaphor, the serve and return, and I just reflect back to raising preschoolers who are now college students and young professionals, and that the famous spiral of why, look at this beetle. Wow, that's nice, but why?
Why?
Well, because I like it. But why? Well, because I'm drawn to insects. But why? And it would be so much more interesting if my answer was, wow, that is an interesting beetle. What would you call that color? And then there's a dialogue that's not only why. I just think it's a fascinating way to reframe how to have a conversation with a developing mind, or really anyone.
Mm-hmm. Or why do you think so? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the insight, not just into the conference that you went to, but how it fits into what you're already doing and what you're looking to do going forward. Thank you. We'll move on to presentation B. Mr. Hudson. I thought we didn't teach civics in school. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Mr. Hudson, sorry to interrupt. Will you please make sure your mic is on?
Yep, there we go. Okay. There we go. Yep, okay. And a couple years ago, I was able to go to Philadelphia. So if you think of 2 great cities to go to for a social studies, Philadelphia and DC, right? So super lucky. I had a chance to go, and as you can tell, in December, Washington, DC was gorgeous that day. Then we had a massive snowstorm, so I was able to see Washington, DC covered in snow. And then the 2 days later, it was back to this. So it was fabulous. So anyway, I went to Washington, DC, flew there, was able to stay there. I had the opportunity to travel on the 3rd of December and stay and return back on the 7th. So I was able to go to the conference for a couple days and then sightsee as much as I possibly could. All right. So here's Washington, D.C. The next slide, there was some really great keynote speakers there. Now, I'm not a big fan of keynote speakers because usually they just give a canned speech and it's wonderful and you clap and they don't really connect with what was going on. These 3 were spectacular. The Supreme Court Justice, you can see at the top, and then the House Minority Leader is there. And then the lady at the bottom, that's the bishop at the Washington Cathedral. And she was probably my favorite. She was fabulous. They all, I would say, tailored their speech to the audience, which a lot of time these level of keynote speakers don't. And they really talked about the importance of education, and they talked about the importance of civics for young people and teaching them what civics looks like beyond just TikTok or their phone or the news. So it was fabulous. These 3 were, I think, of all the conferences I've ever gone to, I was thoroughly impressed with these 3. Okay. And then I did attend the conference, obviously. And this conference is like going to the Mall of America. It has everything. And when I went to Philadelphia, I walked around, it was like, 3 or 4 bags of these kind of, erasers and pencils and all this kind of stuff. And I looked at every conference I could go to, and I was just hurrying around going to this and this and this. This time I was very intentional of what I was looking for. And two of my favorite sessions that I went to of the, I don't know, 30 that I went to, was the one by Street Law, which is a company that tailors Supreme Court and federal court rulings and discussions into classroom material. And I do that a lot. Callahan knows, she sat through a whole bunch of that. And so I was really interested to see how other people put that information together. How did they present that? How was it put together? And I went to 3 different sessions by these people, and it was really, really good. And if I was not going to Europe this summer with the high school, I would probably try to go to their summer institute, and I might do it next summer, where you can immerse yourself into teaching and discussing and creating curriculum based upon Supreme Court and federal court rulings and discussions. But I really enjoyed them, and that's something I do every day. Okay. The other one, if you're my age, you know who that is. You probably have that cassette still in your garage somewhere. But I went to a guy that taught, he taught civics in Ohio. And what he uses is a lot of music lyrics. I was going to play the second verse of 99 Problems Tonight, but I thought better of it. But if you think of the second verse, yeah, look at, you're thinking of it right now. It's when he's in the car, right? And he gets stopped by the police and they want to search his trunk. And the entire thing is about the Fourth Amendment. It's fabulous. And this guy showed how he created a week-long curriculum just on the lyrics of that song. And he showed some other ones that he did by like AC/DC and stuff like that. And it was just unbelievably creative. And it's great to see how creative people can be in their teaching. So that was one that was really is a standout to me as well. The next slide is, I got to tour around, and I had never been to the Arlington Cemetery before. And so that was great. I spent a lot of hours walking around, and I spent a lot of time on the hill where the Supreme Court justices. Not all of them are buried there. Some of them are other places. But it was fun to just walk around and look at them and then think of, years past of rulings that I have studied, I had taught by those people. And so it was great to take pictures. So then when I give a lecture or I have a discussion, I can throw up a picture like that and say, hey, this person that had this idea that we're studying, this legal concept that is an interpretation of our Constitution, this is a real person. So that was really powerful, being at Arlington Cemetery. And then my favorite place in the entire Capitol is the old judicial chamber. And because the Supreme Court initially met in this room right here. Now, this is also the room where the vice president is sworn in, which I didn't know. I just found out this time. But we were there, and there was a whole bunch of other people there. And I got into a conversation with the docent that was in that room. And we started talking about how this is the very room that Plessy versus Ferguson was decided. This is the very room that the 13th Amendment was discussed and the constitutionality of it. This is the room that had all of that history in it. And I could stay in that room all day long. It's just fabulous. You can just feel the history in that room of all the early founding of, some of our earliest constitutional interpretations are in that room. And then the next slide is, while I was there, my grandson was born. Callahan's seen these pictures. She saw a lot of pictures when I got back, but I had a chance to, while I was there, I was touring the Capitol. And of course, I went to our district, Rick Larson's office, and I went, hey, what's the chances I can get a flag that's flown on the Capitol today to give that kid? And we got that done. And Congressman Larson wrote a beautiful letter to my grandson about it. But it was fun being there and making that connection and then able to give that to him. He doesn't really know what it is yet, but his parents really loved it. But that was fun. And that was neat being able just to sharing that, even though I was clear across the country in the other place, but in the other Washington. But that was a big event while I was there, so I had to share it with you. A couple other places that I went to that are a big impact on me, once again, is the Capitol tour. I just absolutely love it. Just if you have a good tour guide, and if you go through your congressman, you're going to get a personal tour. So if you've never done that, you need to do that. Contact your congressman. And the young lady that was showing us around, she was great. And I would say things like, okay, I've been here and here before. Where can you take me that I haven't been without you getting in trouble? And so she was able to kind of take us around to other places that we could go into, which was great. I got to see the Speaker of the House, the entrance to his office, which is, I think, is it's a beautiful entrance to an office. I wish I had an office like that. Not in Lecture Hall 108 right now, but that's just gorgeous. Then I got to go to the Library of Congress, and I forgot to bring my wallet in and show you my Library of Congress library card, which if you're ever there, take the 15, 20, 45 minutes and get yourself a Library of Congress card. Then you can go into the reading room. And the reading room is just, it's fascinating. It's beautiful. I think it's one of the best architectural rooms in the whole city. And then the last, if you've never been to Washington, D.C., you always need to watch the sunset from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. You just have to. Where the moon comes behind it and you get the reflection onto the reflection pool. There was some construction going on, but it was still just, it's breathtaking. I think it's it's a great place to be, and you can just sit there for hours and people watch. It's a wonderful city to hang out with. And then the last slide here is, if I could, I would go to this conference every year. It's in a different city every year. The conference itself, again, is just over the top with content and all of that kind of stuff. But it's such a wonderful conference. And the last of the intentional things that I did is I tried to collaborate with other teachers from the state of Washington that taught my same subject. So I searched people out. Hey, where are you from? What do you teach? And I talked to them about those ideas. What's some different things that you do that I maybe have never thought of? And I was very intentional about that. And I was able to come back with some great things to talk to Mr. Eager about. That's my peer in the high school. But it was wonderful. One of the things that I came back with that I'd love to talk to you guys about is these people. These people right here are practicing civics. It's what they're doing. They understand that democracy is local, not necessarily always on the national scene, but local. And there's a lot of districts that give these students not just volunteer hours, but civics credits or CTE credits. Think of all the hours that they do. And we have other students that do like school to work. I'd really like, and I would volunteer to be the faculty kind of advisor or whatever, if that's something you guys would think about. I think it would be maybe a pull for kids to look into this, but it's a great opportunity that these people are learning, is that civics is local.
I did see your email, and I look forward to having the conversation with you.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a conference I went to. It was fun. I had a lot of fun.
thank you for the presentation. I believe we actually have something in procedure that provides the opportunity to give a half credit for history or social studies for student representatives. I think I was just trying to look it up, but my computer's a little slow right now.
And it
So-
might be just a humanities credit or something like that, but
It may be in there already, so we may not have to do a whole lot to implement that.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. The work that these guys do here, you guys know because you're with them, but it's amazing the learning opportunity they have. And it would be great for them, not just to put volunteer hours on a college application, man.
Finally got it up. It actually, yes, the student representative to the board will receive 0.5 elective credits for each semester of successful board service and or U.S. history honors designation.
Awesome.
We're there for you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I have a question about teaching current events to students in this day and age.
Yeah.
With so much news happening so fast and so much of it seeming unprecedented, has your approach changed at all, or not?
I think, again, now I think every teacher will say this. I have the best job in the district, but I also think I have the hardest job in the district. I have to convince these young people that what's happening in our political atmosphere is actually very important. And that's not an easy job to do. I've seen a lot of different people. I've talked to a lot of different teachers. How do you teach current events? Do you only stay local? Do you do a blend? In sharing what I do, a lot of teachers from other districts are like, hey, that's a great idea. How do you pick what news do you watch or things like that? And right now, what I found is what I'm doing with the nightly news and having them tell me why things are happening rather than what is happening. It brings discussions so that they will ask things like, why are we so interested in Iran? You know, or why is there such hatred here? Or why is there so much conflict with NATO right now? Why is Russia so after Ukraine and things like that? So it brings up more questions doing current news if you focus on the context of it or the background, the schema of it. That's what I've found to be successful with these guys.
And then you can get into the serve and response.
Oh,
Just to
a
tie
lot
it all
of what
together.
she was saying about kindergarten is teaching seniors as well. Trying to get them to play when they're like, what's the answer? Tell me the answer. How many credits? When is it due? What's my GPA going to be after this Bill of Rights test? Things like that. But to get them to think and be creative and ask, why is this happening? Or what's behind this all? Yeah.
I loved, I'm a history nerd myself. I loved the way you talked about the weight of history in that old courtroom.
I love that place.
Just that feeling. I wish that there was a way to bring it digitally, and there just isn't. That at least not that I've seen or found ever. So I loved hearing about that, and I love your attempts to bring some of those artifacts back in photographic form. So that's fantastic. Unfortunately, I don't think that the bond has a budget for marble entrances.
All right.
I mean, I'm not on the bond committee, so, but
that is one thing, not necessarily our nation's capital, but taking our seniors down to our state capital. That's something I've looked at over the years, and hopefully I can make that work somehow. Yeah.
wonderful.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one more presentation, and that's for our student representatives. Over to you.
We just kind of wanted to start by giving an update on like Soup with Soup and events that we've been working on recently. So that happened a couple weeks ago, and it went really well. We had pretty low attendance, but I think we learned a lot, and we had a lot of takeaways about our role and what the community would like to see from us and like new possible events.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like Callahan was saying, like we were inspired to meet with the construction team too, and now we're gonna put together like a little table for students to speak to them during lunch on May 13th. So that will be interesting too.
Moving on to high school events.
There was a poetry event last week during lunch. There will also be a t-shirt fundraiser, and students are making it through SBAC testing. Hopefully, mine's tomorrow, but we'll see. There was a short Hamlet performance April 3rd, and it was really fun to see live, like in a little like, our auditorium, assembly style. And yeah, it was nice to see Shakespeare adapted for a high school. Yeah. NHS induction happened last week, and it was really exciting for new members and old members too. An NHS food drive is also happening right now, and sports are in full swing. And track has had a great season so far, while breaking records too. Yeah, and all the other sports too. And I'm in tennis, so go tennis. Districts are soon.
We've been hosting cultural appreciation days during lunch this past month and like this past semester. There's been places like Ethiopia, Russia, and Tibet. And I think it's a really cool way for students to learn about a variety of cultures and places while enjoying new foods and just like getting educated. Oaxaca is coming up on May 18th, and Spanish Club will be collaborating in planning that. Prom is coming up on May 9th. The theme is Rio Carnival. AP tests are next week, and I think the week after that too. Students are in full preparation also for those. And then Speak Up presentations are being given to students right now. And I got mine today, but it's like been really interesting to me because students have been using the techniques like already to interrupt just like negative speech towards classmates. And I don't know, I think it's really cool that it's already just so impactful in our schools. At the middle school, Cougar Track and Field had their first meet today. Students also celebrated Bus Driver Appreciation Day yesterday with personalized signage, treats, and oversized thank you signs. The first annual talent show is this Friday during the school day. Fifth graders came up last week to learn about middle school electives and had a presentation by the middle school band with Miss Balistrossi. And then all middle school students are now registered for next school year. SBAC starts next week for middle school students, and the nature and wellness students are getting ready for their 5-day overnight backpacking trip coming up on May 11th, and then career day is on May 7th.
And then the elementary school has been having their SBAC testing, and that'll be going on this week and next. And that I think is taking up a lot of, time and energy there, which is totally all right because it is at the high school too. They're also preparing for their Camp Casey trip in the 4th and 5th grade, and they will be having a jog-a-thon fundraiser pretty soon too. So that is one of their biggest fundraisers. So it'll be great.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions?
Just so happy to hear that the Speak Up training, that you're seeing it being used by students. I think that's really where the rubber meets the road. And so that was a really great update to hear.
As you are doing plans for speaking with students at lunch or more soup with the soup, it may also be possible to get board members, if that is of interest to you, to sit down and talk with students or to work with you on other stuff as well. So just if that is of interest, I'm sure we can make that happen.
I also just wanted to say thank you for taking time for a board meeting during this testing week. I know it takes energy to be here and it takes energy to sit for a test. So thank you. And I hope you're getting rest and some playtime too.
Before we move on, if there's anybody that would like to leave, you're welcome to leave if you've already presented. I'm sorry, I can't excuse you, but
We still need your advisory votes and discussion if it comes up. So we will now move on to public comments. Do we have anyone present? We have nothing, no Q&A shared in our Zoom either. So we'll move straight through public comments to new business. Our first item of business is Memorandum 2526-25, approval of the update to Southerby School District Policy 3231, student records. Director Downs, I don't know if you have anything to add on these. We did talk about them at our last workshop.
No, no, I think we discussed them pretty thoroughly in the workshop, and I believe that they are what we discussed.
Excellent. Sounds great. Then I will move on to, is there any debate or discussion on this memorandum? Okay. Student representatives, can we have your advisory votes, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2526-25, student records, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has passed. Memorandum 2526-26, approval of the update to Southbury School District Policy 3410, student health. Again, minor additions discussed at the last meeting. Any debate or discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll turn to our student representatives for their advisory vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2526-26, student health, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum passes. Memorandum 2526-27, approval of the update to Southbury School District Policy 3412, automated external defibrillators, student welfare. Any discussion or debate on this item beyond what took place last year, last meeting, including ensuring that our nursing staff had an opportunity to look at this as healthcare professionals? Our student representatives, advisory votes, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2526-27, automated external defibrillators, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has passed. The last of our policy items here, memorandum 2526-28, approval of the update to Southbury School District Policy 3413, student immunization and life-threatening health conditions. Again, as we discussed last meeting, this has gone through our nursing staff for their professional opinion. Any debate or discussion on the item? Advisor votes, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2526-28, student immunization and life-threatening health conditions, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum passes. Our next item is memorandum 2526-29, approval of the request to OSBI for a 180-day waiver. I will turn this over to Dr. Clifford for explanation.
This is a standard waiver that we request, knowing that we have had emergency and school closure due to weather or other emergency. And so this request will ensure that students still end on the same day that we originally planned on, and it will not extend the school year for them. And so we are requesting approval for that. It's waiving one day.
And any year where we miss more than 2 or 3 days, we do some version of this. Yeah. Any debate or discussion on this item? Okay, student representatives, your advisory votes, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2526-29, the OSBI request for the 180-day waiver, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum passes. Our final item of new business is memorandum 2526-30, approval of the PSE letters of agreement. Dr. Clifford, I'll turn this over to you again.
Yes, this is related to the collective bargaining agreement that was completed by Mr. Field and our bargaining team for PSE. And during these were an oversight, and we're just getting them formally approved. We have already been operating under these agreements, and we'll be signing them after you vote to approve them.
So no changes to what we're doing this year. Yeah.
No changes. Yep.
In SEIU's group, they're already included in there with their CBA and PSEs. They came in 3 different documents, and we missed putting the extra documents with PSEs across the dais.
Thank you very much, both of you. Any debate or discussion on this? Okay, student.
Thank you, Mr. Field.
Student representatives, your advisory votes, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving memorandum 2526-30, approval of the PSE letters of agreement, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum passes. That is the final item on our new business agenda. We now turn to our reports, our financial and enrollment report. Mr. Field.
All right, so this will be our enrollment for April. Looks very much like March. We are kind of plateauing and maintaining our student FTEs. We're heading towards the home stretch here, which is shown on that orange line on the top. We're just kind of straight across as expected. This total enrollment picture hasn't changed in the last several months. It's the same sort of, we're holding steady. FTE by grade, no changes from last month, no changes from expectations. Grade versus budget, again, this looks very consistent with what we've seen all year long. So this is information related to our budgeted enrollment for 26-27. We always kind of start with a little bit of a conversation as we get into budget presentations of how I've gone back and how we've historically calculated our budgeted full-time enrollment for the next school year. This is only looking at basic ed, because that's the main driver where we get the majority of our funding for, but you can see this is a condensed version of a much larger spreadsheet that shows how the process I kind of go through to make our estimated enrollment for the next school year. And this is the same that we've done for the last several years of the district. We review a straight roll forward and then a 3-year average and then cohort survival, some weighted average stuff. And then I try to do my best with that information to make an estimate that I believe is conservative enough to make sure we don't get in trouble, but aggressive enough to make sure we start the year with as much funding as I believe is safe. So when you look at on the far right-hand side, those negative numbers is the difference from what I'm actually budgeting for next year. So if we did a straight roll forward, I'm budgeting 28 kids less than a straight roll forward. If we did a 3-year average, I'm budgeting 8 less than a 3-year average. And then the cohort and the weighted average, the difference between budget grows, and I'm just not comfortable yet with the slight increase we've seen last year and this year to make sure that that's actually a trend and not just a little bubble, a little blip that we're seeing here over the last 2 years. We've been running against a 15-year declining enrollment, and I'm not ready to say, yep, no, that's going to keep coming.
Well, and I think that's particularly wise in this case because we know that some of that came from private school shifts in enrollment.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we've landed. So for basic ed right now, it may change as I work through our final stuff, but we're budgeting a 1,063 FTE for our basic ed going into our budget season for next year.
And so just to make sure I'm reading this right, that would be approximately 60 fewer than this year.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is just kind of showing how the methodologies work year over year. So I've used the same methodology that was used by Dan Pullman and just kept running it forward because of how successful we've been in the past with it. So on the top of this graph is what we budgeted year over year, and on the bottom is the actual FTE. And that percentage difference is the difference between budget and actual year over year. So in 21-22, our budget from actual difference was less than 1%. In 22-23, we were under budgeted, if you will, by 3%. My first board meeting, I had to present Dan's final FTE where he missed it by 0.07% in June. So you can't get any better than that. And then all these last 2 years where we've had the increase in enrollment, that gap's grown to 4%, and in the current year, 8%. So it's still not a huge swing. So it's been fairly accurate for what we've been doing. I'm planning on moving forward with 1063 this year. And if that gap of budget to actual widens, we'll really start leaning more into our weighted average and our survivor cohort information to adjust our 27-28 enrollment.
Well, and if we didn't have those, I think it was something like 40 students coming in from Wellington and Waldorf. If you pull those out of the 90 number, it looks a lot closer to the others.
Exactly. So this is kind of a graphical representation of those two tables of our actual FTE versus budgeted FTE. And then 26, 27, we obviously don't have actual, but that's kind of where we're showing. So we are going into this school year with more budgeted FTE or 26, 27 than we've had in the past several years. So I am trying to acknowledge that we have picked up some more kids, but I'm not quite trying to peg exactly what a straight roll forward would be. Any questions on that before I move on our budgeted enrollment?
The only thing I want to add is if we do continue to have a trend that is continuing to increase, then again, we will also adjust and make sure that we're responding to the needs as we see students come in.
And the team has gotten experience over the last 2 years adding folks right at the beginning and found some very good people. So I have every confidence that you can continue to do that as necessary. Recognizing that it's nice for the certificated staff to have a little bit of foreknowledge of that, but not always possible.
Okay, so now we just kind of switch gears into the financial report for March. So we're still in the lower right-hand corner with encumbrances, spending 95% of our current year budget. This time last year, we were bending at 98, 99%. So we're doing pretty good. Our MSOCs is where we're making up the capacity. So we'll continue to monitor that. And if we have to end up doing a budget extension, we'll have that conversation at that time. But right now it's looking as if we'll be A-okay to get through the end of the year. Our revenue and expenditure by month very much looks like last year. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing unexpected. Our revenue right here in March, getting ready for our April collections. And that increase always is because of our local levy. Appreciate that from our taxpayers for that support. It helps us do a lot more than we could with just state funding. And this is historical revenue by source. And then our total expenditures by month. That purple line is higher than prior years, but we've hired more staff than in prior years because of those increase in kids. That's the large driver of that purple line being higher than prior years. And this shows here in MSOCs. Our MSOCs is supporting that previous statement because our MSOCs cost is just right in what it's been in line in prior years. And then this is the payroll that's causing that gap in the total expenditures. Expenditures year to date in bar form year over year. And then our fund balance graph. Our general fund budget status, the statutory required report that shows all of the encumbrances and expenditures. Nothing out of the ordinary there or specific to speak to in this one. And then this is all of our other funds. You can see the expenditures year to date for the capital fund, $10 million. That's largely driven by the bond work that we have and the construction at both sites. And ASB is doing well, following money in, money out, much like they did last year. So they're doing a good job of spending their money as they get it. And then nothing to report for trans vehicle. In the near future, we will have a proposal to order a new bus to start spending some of those funds to keep the fleet updated. We're working on that currently. In private purchase trust, nothing to report yet, but as we start awarding grants here in the next months for our graduates, you'll start seeing more expenditures flow through there. Not grants, but scholarships. And with that, are there any questions for our March financials or April enrollment report? Oh, go ahead.
This is less a question that needs an answer as it is just me speaking aloud to the fact that you must be paying attention to the changing standards for school bus depreciation schedules.
Yeah.
And is that factoring into your long-term planning for the district's transportation needs?
Our fleet there's not a whole lot you can do about it. I mean, they extended the years on the A bus, and we have our smaller buses. They're not we're not looking to replace ones. We did buy one recently that we're looking to trade out. It wasn't exactly as big as we anticipated, so we're working through that. But as far as the cost of buses, the longer we wait, the more expensive they're going to be. And if it just takes longer, you can see with a $560,000, we can pretty much buy 2 diesel buses today if we needed to. So I'm aware of it, but it doesn't really change what we're doing because we've not bought a new bus every year. So we have a pretty good TVF fund to buy buses as we needed.
Sure.
And we continue to monitor what we can do. We're looking at grants. Before we can buy another electric bus, we have to increase the service at the transportation station. We can't add another charging station because we physically don't have enough electricity coming to the building. So we'd have to add an additional service, which we're looking into what it would take to do just that. So it'd basically be a second meter. There's complications because the transportation building is the last building on the above ground power line. The high school's power comes from the highway. The transportation's building's power comes from Langley, and it's the very, very end of the line. So that can cause complications to draw more power down the end of the line. And we're looking into that. We're just at the infancy of looking into what it's going to take to add more power so we can continue to pursue grants to purchase an electric bus at the cost of a diesel bus. Because that's kind of how those grants work. A diesel bus is around $240,000. An electric bus is nearly $600,000. But the grants will usually allow you to buy an electric bus at the cost of a diesel bus. So that's how I intend to continue to electrify the fleet. But we first have to increase our infrastructure to be able to support the electric buses. At the same time, we still have buses that are getting to the point that we need to upgrade them. So that's what will be coming here in the near future is an upgraded 84 passenger diesel bus.
Got it. All right. So it sounds like you're well aware of the long range complexity of this challenge and you're ready to handle it. Thank you.
Less a question, more just a note for those looking at that fund balance graph and seeing a dot very near the bottom of the graph. A note that bottom of the graph is 20% of our budget, which is exceedingly high comfortably high for a school district our size.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's the whole percentage of expenditures, that 20%, it's hard to compare year over year because our budget increases every year. So a more meaningful conversation or parallel with that would be like, what is the dollar amount at that same time has been? But no one talks about it or looks at it that way. So I haven't gone down that path because I just haven't. This is what people are used to seeing. But as our budget continues to grow, just by the simple fact of having a larger budget would mean your percentage of fund balance would be less. So it's a kind of a quirk in the system.
I remember the auditors were looking at it, the state auditors were looking at it as a number of days of the school's function that could be maintained by that fund balance. And that might be an interesting route to go down.
Yeah.
Because that seems like it takes into account the fact that the larger budget means that that's a smaller percentage. And really what we care about is not the percentage number. It's
that's taking your budget again, divided by the number of days, divided by 365, and then dividing that number into your fund balance to figure out how many days. Cause
right.
Again,
it's not ideal.
Yeah. Cause it considers your ratable spends even for every day you spend the exact same amount of the money.
And I want to add that very conservatively, but intentionally, we do recognize because of that, we have made some intentional decisions to programmatic and leadership and staffing decisions to support the needs of our district next year, knowing that we had that high, that the fund balance that we do.
Yeah. For instance, the director of special education, which we've recognized is a need for the district, will impact this definitely. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Field. I'll turn it over to Dr. Clifford for the superintendent's report.
Okay, we can go to jump right to slide 4. Because all the first slides are all the same. And so you already heard, and what I love about our student board reps and the way that they are really sharing out about the work and what's occurring at school is that you're getting all the updates. Continuing to do school visits and classroom visits. I was in ALE last week, got through about half of the elementary classes. I was able to go and visit with Principal Richards, which was fun because we don't normally go together. And so we got to really make some connections in different ways. We're continuing to have our math and behavior and social emotional professional development, and staff are continuing to deepen their practice. I do want to say, and I'll talk about this more in the bond update, that the further we get into construction, our students are doing and staff are doing a great job, but the more impactful it continues to be, and we're still in mitigating all of those impacts. And it does move in different places as we go through the process. So our staff are being collectively, we're working really closely to make sure that we're mitigating the impacts. Budget and staffing, you saw the enrollment projections that Mr. Field has been really intentionally and strategically defining what we're working with. And we're supporting and defining what our teaching staff would look like going into next year. And right now we're working on our classified staffing needs, and we'll be making some of those decisions in the next couple of weeks. Our committees and councils, I am really excited about the equity committee because they just yesterday interviewed, I think we interviewed 4 students, Ms. Russo, Representative Russo being one, for our next round of students to be part of our student membership there. And so the Climate Action Committee is doing work on policies next time we come together. And they were also getting updates on some of the work that they have been completing through their groups and the green teams at the schools. And so they're making progress, as well as our instructional council. They were reviewing all of our PD reflections so that we could see how things were going this year and having some ideas and inform us on what we can be doing in the future as we plan for next year. And then special ed, they got to review the program review and give us some input and insights on what that looks like, and starting to define our goals for the work that we're going to be doing in the future. Interrupting hate speech, we're going to be on our 4th session tomorrow, and that's going really well. And we're going to be ready to start building in that work as we move forward into next year. And our students who have been doing the Speak Up at Schools training, our student leaders, actually handed out the flyer that shows the Speak Up at Schools 4 strategies. And on the other side, it has the strategies that come from the interrupting hate speech. So it's actually the sheet that comes with the interrupting hate speech. So they basically were starting to tee up that work as we go into next year. And I just wanted to do a shout out to our 2 teachers that have been really leading this, and Ms. Stelling has been the primary leader, and Mr. Olson has been her tag team. And then our student Speak Up leader presenters, these were the groups, and they have 2 more days left. And I was able to join, if we go on to the next slide, I was able to join 3 presentations as the staff support, and they're great. And during our equity committee, 2 of the presenters also were members of the equity, or interested in being a part of the equity committee. So we're reflecting on some things that worked and what we can do differently as we go forward. And so I'm really grateful for the students. I'm really proud of them. And I'm looking forward to, it's just a start, and we have lots of work to do, and it's going to take time, but we're going to get there. And we are seeing the impact. It's hard though. And I'm really grateful for our students for just taking the lead on this. And we're going to rotate to the next slide. The last two slides are just our bond construction. Moving over towards the stadium side, and our schools are going to be they're not going to be accessible this summer, and there's going to be a lot of work happening on both sites, and so we'll get more information out about that, but we're making a lot of progress, and it's a lot of moving parts. And I do want to specifically speak to Mr. Field, his diligence on this work and making sure that we're keeping pace and addressing things as they come up and making sure that we're in front of things so that we can be proactive. And he's done a great job.
So just this picture from that corner all the way to the athletic hall entrance, they got all of that off over spring break. There was a huge push to get all of that work done and out of the way to make sure that they weren't working there super actively, because that's the main entrance to the building. So the construction team made a real concerted effort to get all of that ephes off the building and get it ground down and all of that work, so we didn't have to commingle with students and people coming in and out of the building. So this is the stage and the lower roof and the fly roof. So that was a big push over the spring break, and hopefully we'll start seeing that get painted blue. It's not painted, it's an air barrier, but the blue and then the brick and then the siding, like you're starting to see around the rest of the side of the building. So
I wish after I was at track today, we both were, and I wish I had taken pictures from the other side of the track where I was standing, because there's a whole bunch of work on the other side of the back of the building as well. So there's a lot of progress being made, and it's exciting. And then the final picture is at the elementary here. Actually, that's just right before we started today. And it's really small, but there's a lot of work being done. And I really want to speak to this quickly, because I had community members who are not affiliated with the school and said, "What are you doing with our lawn? You're taking away green areas." And so we just talked about, and I was able to share that this is about building out our parking and our loop and making it more efficient and making it more accessible to our students and our families and our staff. So once they heard that, there was a definite understanding and confidence in this. And we are going to be sending out, there's something coming. I'm just going to put a little plant there. There's something going to be coming in the future by June that will have a little bit more specific update on our construction. And so I'm excited about that work, but we'll be able to communicate it to our larger community in a different way. So thank you.
if I can just add, Dr. Clifford here, that big excavator, the hole that they dug to retain the water and keep it here as if a forest was there is 14 feet deep. And then they put these baffled structures in there so the water has a place to go and then can maintain and hang out there and leach out slowly as if it was covered by a forest. That's the design of that system that's in the new loop area. So there was a massive effort. They excavated out a lot of dirt, put in that superstructure to be able to hold the water on site, and now they're putting it back, and we're getting it signed off to make sure that we're holding the water that runs off on site and then letting it into the aquifer at a more released rate as opposed to a straight runoff.
And the cedar tree is staying, that gorgeous, gorgeous cedar tree. Sorry, that was a big thing for me, knowing that some of that life there would be maintained.
The loop does go around the mother tree.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the last part of our agenda, which is board comments or report. Any of the folks who are on Zoom or in the room have any comments or reports to make?
I would like to share a request, and we have a policy about board absences from meetings, and my need to request absences doesn't quite reach the threshold of where it would invoke needing to ask for board action. But I do want to let you know that due to some scheduling conflicts with a really big professional project, I am going to be unavailable for 3 upcoming meetings, and those are both of our May meetings and our June 17th retreat and executive session and evening meeting. And so I'm sorry to say that I will be missing those 3 meetings, and I am sorry. I'll participate asynchronously in whatever way I can to support the work that's going on during that time.
Yeah, we've already started talking about making sure that we get your input on the goals, and we'll make sure to do that in particular.
Thank you.
I just want to wish a speedy recovery to frequent board meeting attendee Rufus Rose.
Director Johnson, Director Downs, anything from either of you? Okay, I'm seeing a shaking head.
Nothing on my end.
Excellent. Just wanted to make sure you had that opportunity. Over the next month, the 2 meetings next month, we'll have an update. We are planning to have an update on some of the survey information that's gone out within the schools throughout the year. This is our internal focused version of the CEE data. So we'll have some availability on that in the upcoming meetings. That's all I've got. Thank you very much. Good night. This meeting is adjourned.